It was late drama to start the season last weekend, and today we welcome one of League One's big boys to SE7. That's right, Derby County are in town for our first home game of the new campaign. And wouldn't it be brilliant to get off and running at the Valley by securing 3 precious points? We've got lots to come ahead of kick-off right here on Charlton TV. We'll hear exclusively from manager Ben Garner, who sat down with commentator Terry Smith yesterday morning to preview today's game. We're also very excited to say that we'll be revealing a new signing for the Charlton women's team live here on Charlton TV. And we'll also hear from giant defender Ryan Inniss, who won, get this, an impressive 19 headers at Accrington last weekend, 7 more than any other League One player. And guess what? He picked up a cut head for his troubles. I'm Aidan McGee. This is Charlton TV. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Alan Kirbishley and Ali Maxwell. I am standing in just for the time being for Scott Minto. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. He's got other engagements elsewhere. I'm going to bring in Alan, first of all, down at the far end. No introduction needed for Alan. Manager here between 1991 and 2006. I imagine you remember me from just asking you silly questions about 15 years ago, don't you? Yeah. I'll try and increase the level of questions then, increase the standard if I can.
Standard questions.
Ali Maxwell, co-host of Not the Top 20 podcast. Big week for you as well, Ali. Welcome along.
Thank you very much.
As well. The highest ranked podcast on Spotify this week, is that right?
Yeah. We basically, as people who cover the EFL, you know, we have to battle against the Premier League big boys, even in the podcasting world. There's 1 week in 52 where we can really make some waves, and that's the week before the pre-season, before the season starts rather, where we release our prediction podcast. The Premier League's still a few weeks away, so we make hay while the sun shines, and we're really pleased with the response to our prediction pods. Great first weekend of the season, and great to be here at a sunny Valley, sitting in the Alan Kirbishley stand. It's a pleasure
really,
to be alongside him.
I'm just disappointed you seem to have infiltrated my notes here, because somebody's written down here saying one of the best EFL brains around. I mean, I thought that was me.
Between the 3 of us, we should have a good day today.
Alan, if I can bring you in, from a manager's point of view, I mean, last week, disappointing in some ways. I mean, the performance didn't look great from what I saw. Going into added time, though, you take the lead 4 minutes into added time. You've got to close it out, haven't you?
You think so, wouldn't you? And, you know, what surprised me was that they managed to get behind us. And, you know, with a minute to go, perhaps everyone should just get behind the ball and defend your penalty box, if you like. But on the scale of it, it was a fair result, let's be honest. I think that Accrington, we stifled Accrington in the first half. You know, Ben Garner was to play out from the back and keep the ball, and they never really got going, Accrington, but they did in the second. They had a lot more crosses, a lot more shots, a lot more efforts on goal, etc. But yeah, 2-1 up with minutes to go, but it was a fair result in the end. And I think Ben came out and said that afterwards. You take a point, because I think Accrington are going to cause all sorts of problems, especially at home. And so, yeah, in the end, it'll be a good point, I think.
I want to ask you as well, from a managerial point of view, how much do you read into, as a manager, the opening day of the season? I mean, I can remember back in 2000, you came up as champions, runaway leaders, weren't you? And then you started the season, I think it was Andy Hunt's hat-trick with that 4-0 against Man City. Now, no one could have predicted that you'd be so safe by end of February, start of March, but can you read too much into an opening day, do you think, or does it often set the tone for the rest of the campaign?
No, I don't. I think the first couple of games hit and miss. I mean, look at the conditions. You know, really hot down there today. It's going to take its toll. I personally, if it was the first or second game of the season, I'd like to play the big boys, because I always thought that we'd be fitter and not more hungrier, but keener, I think is the word. And yeah, so I was quite happy to, as I say, to play against the big boys. And perhaps, if you look at it, to get Accrington out of the way, because you wouldn't want to be going there December or January when the weather's not so clever and you can't play your brand of football. At least last week, the Charlton boys could get it down and play. But looking at today, and especially the fact that I think Derby are going to bring a lot of fans, it always makes a difference. When that ends full, it makes a big difference to the crowd, the atmosphere, and the players. So I'm hoping we can respond to that.
Ali, we'll get a better idea after maybe 6-10 games, won't we, about how the league's going to shape up, especially when it's a 46-game campaign. I mean, there can't be many leagues around Europe outside of the EFL who play 46 games in a season. It was remarkable 2 seasons ago. They actually fit that calendar or that campaign into 7 months. And it's going to be similar this year in some ways, because the Championships is affected by the World Cup being in the middle of the season as much as the Premier League.
Yeah, 100%. It's a crazy schedule. It's probably a nightmare to manage a team in a 46-game season. It's amazing as a fan because it's brilliant to follow, to cover. The leagues are always so competitive and they can swing from month to month. So, I mean, it's so difficult when you spend so much time previewing the season to try and remind yourself not to draw too many conclusions from opening weekend and maybe even this weekend. Generally, as you've suggested there, I think 6 to 8 games where you can kind of sift through the results that might have been against a run of play, and you can look overall at how much teams are dominating the ball, dominating the shot count. I think Ben Garner would certainly ask that he is judged after a chunk of games rather than the first 2, because his style of play generally does take a few weeks to really come to fruition. But it's something I'm pretty excited about seeing in the flesh today.
Alan, it's one thing getting a solid point. Yes, it was disappointing, notwithstanding the late equaliser, of course, but it's still a solid point on the road on the opening day of the season. As you say, you probably rather want to play at Accrington at that stage of the season rather than in the middle of December, a week before Christmas or whatever. But the season kind of starts again in some ways here because you're in front of your home crowd. There's the expectation. It's the first time the fans have seen the new team in the flesh as well. That's kind of important as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think on paper we have got a tough start. There's no getting away from it. You know, we've got the couple of big boys coming up after today. Yeah, and I'm interested to see how we perform here today because it's our home form last year that let us down. It wasn't good enough, and if you're looking for top 6 or even straight promotion, you've got to win most of your points here. That's how it is, and we just didn't do that last year. So I think Ben would be delighted if we can get 3 points today. You want it with a decent performance, but I ain't bothered. You know, if we can follow the point up with 3 points today, we're off and running. But obviously, the fans coming in here today are looking forward to seeing, the difference between this Charlton and last year.
Thanks for now, guys. We're going to listen to, you mentioned Ben Garner, the manager. Now we're going to have a listen to him now because he spoke to Terry Smith yesterday morning ahead of today's visit of Derby County.
Ben, your first competitive home game awaits. How much are you looking forward to it?
Really looking forward to it. Obviously had a small taste of it in the Swansea game in pre-season. Could get a feel for the stadium, for the atmosphere that will be generated, and can't wait. I think the way the players have trained this week and the way they've prepared, they're very much ready and looking forward to it. And I think the support that we will get and the energy that will come down onto the pitch will be a huge factor in the game. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Real tough test against a strong Derby side. But yeah, we can't wait. We want to get going.
As you say, Derby no doubt have their eyes on promotion this season. Realistically, how many other League One clubs do you see as having that target this year?
A lot. I think there's a lot in the division. That it's getting more and more competitive. When you've got the likes of Derby that have come down with the budget they will have and the size of the club that they are, obviously that poses a different challenge. But likewise, you can go to Accrington, as we did last week, who will be very competitive in this division and will be targeting the top end themselves, albeit in a different way. So we fully appreciate what a big club Derby is, but we're a big club and we want to show that anyone coming to the Valley this season is in for a tough game, and we're going to try and beat every single team that comes to play us at home this season.
We started the season with a good point up at Accrington. Last weekend, a week on, what have you learned from that?
A lot. Interesting game. I think lots of positives, particularly first half. I think to go there and have the amount of possession that we did and control the game and restrict them to as few opportunities as we did first half was very good. Didn't quite hit those heights second half. Accrington played very well second half. So overall, on reflection, I think it's a good point because it's such a difficult place to go. But that's obviously tinged with frustration after going ahead so late and then conceding immediately after. But overall, I think a point away at Accrington is a good start, and now obviously we're looking to build on that.
And you'd have learned a lot about your players from not just the Accrington game, of course, but throughout pre-season. When do you think that learning about those players stops?
Don't think it ever does, if I'm honest. Every day, every opportunity you've got to work with the players, not just on the pitch as well. It's conversations around the training ground, on away trips. I like to know what the background of players and what motivates them, what's important to them in their life, who's close to them, whose influence is away from the club. So you've got as good an insight as possible into the player, because our job mainly is to help them. Help them do as well as they can, to perform as well as they can as an individual, and ultimately to perform as well as we can as a team and as a club. So I don't think it ever stops, if I'm honest.
And just finally, Derby coming down, as you say, they've sold their away end, and home tickets selling very well too. What's your message to the Charlton fans ahead of the game?
Looking forward to seeing you there tomorrow. Please come and make as much noise as possible. Let's really have that energy coming down onto the pitch, because, like I say, that's such a big factor for the players. And they're excited for the game, these players. They're looking forward to it. And if they can feel that positivity and that energy from the stands, I know what a huge, huge difference that will make.
Great to hear then from Ben Garner there. We've got confirmation of his starting 11 for this afternoon's games. It's going to come up on your screen in a few moments. The gents can react to it as well. Ali, can I come to you first of all? I think we are going to see it on the screen. Are we going to see it on the screen? Not at the minute. It doesn't matter. We'll still talk through it. Ali's going to talk us through it. He's got it right in front of him. What do you reckon to that, Ali? Because he's made a few changes, hasn't he?
2 changes for Charlton, and both of them, I've kind of raised my eyebrows at both of them, not critically. I'm just interested at this stage of the season, particularly with a new manager, to see, for example, that George Dobson, who previously I felt was pretty much bulletproof in the starting 11, has come out to the side, and McGrandles, who signed over the summer from Lincoln, really tidy player, good all-rounder in midfield, hard worker as well. So I'd be interested to see how that midfield 3 sets up now. Will Morgan sit the deepest? Will it be McGrandles? Unlikely. Fraser, again, you probably want him breaking into the final third. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Garner's plan is there. And then Jaisimi coming out. Again, I might have thought that Jack Payne could come in and play on the right side, cutting in on that left foot where he scored so many goals for Garner Swindon last season. But it's Charlie Kirk who comes in for Jaisimi rather than Payne. And Curbs and I were just saying it feels like it could be quite a big day for Kirk after a difficult first year as a Charlton player. But clearly, starting second week of the season, Garner, clean slate, wants to let him show what he can do. And on his day, at League One level, he's proven with Crewe 2 seasons ago that he can do some real damage down that left side.
I want to wind the clock back a couple of years to when you and I spoke in a previous role that I had. It was about Eberieze going from QPR to Crystal Palace. It was that step from Championship to Premier League. You said players need about half a season or so to adapt. What about players coming from, say, someone like Swindon and from League 2 to League 1? Is that one of the bigger gaps between the divisions, or is it probably the smallest?
I wouldn't say so. Mostly good League 2 teams stay up in their first season in League 1, even without huge additions to the squad. You know, when you consider how a team goes up from the Championship to the Premier League, and everyone always suggests they need to sign 4 or 5 Premier League quality players. It's not so much the case, I don't think, from League 2 to League 1, where the boundaries are just a little bit more blurred in terms of player quality. Someone like Jack Payne is a great example. Frankly, shouldn't have been playing in League 2 because of the quality that he has, but really bought into Garner Ball, as they called it at Swindon, and I'm sure that'll be the moniker here as well, for better or for worse. He's a quality player, so he might have been playing in League 2 last season, but he's easily a League 1, if not Championship player, technically, and he's not just a luxury player, Payne. He can impact games properly in terms of goals and assists as well, and I think we can expect him to do that once he gets up and running.
And Alan, you were a bit concerned back end of last season and even last week. You were concerned about where the goals were coming from at the top end of the pitch. Do you share that? Having seen the team line up today, are you any more optimistic about it, do you think?
Well, Corey Blackett-Taylor was fantastic last week. And, he's been a revelation since he's come here, to be honest. Playing with left wing back now, he's playing high up on the left. It'd be interesting to see if he goes over to the right now, because Kirk, I think,
the lineup on the screen.
Yeah, I think Kirk likes to play on the left.
Yeah, I'd expect so.
Yeah. Is that going to affect Blackett-Taylor because he was cutting inside and he was going on the outside? So, yeah, I was concerned about where the goals are going to come from. 2 holding midfield players, if you like, Morgan and McGrandles. I don't see too many goals there. Fraser obviously got on the end of one last week, so he's going to be influential in trying to get some goals. But is the back 4? I always expect my centre halves to get 4 or 5 each. So I'm expecting Inniss to be a danger. But that's my worry, is where the goals. Now, I'm as interested as anybody with Kirk, because there is something there. And he had a bad time last year for all sorts of reasons, on and off the field, etc. But it's a fresh start. New manager, who has obviously seen something in the last week or so in training for him to make a change like he's done today. Or is it something to do with Derby? You know, he may see a weakness somewhere in that Derby team. But for Kirk, I think, that's a big, big vote of confidence, and possibly saying to him, I'm not going to let you go out on loan no more. You're going to stay here and establish yourself And so I'll be interested to see his performance today.
And just both of you on Derby as well. I mean, it just, looking through the lineup, I mean, looking at their squad even, I mean, Curtis Davies, Conor Hourihane. Conor Hourihane really shouldn't be playing at this level, should he?
No, he shouldn't. I spoke to Conor a few weeks ago. He's been kind enough to join us on the podcast a couple of times. Loves talking football, which is what we're always after on our show. I made the point to him that we expect him to join a Championship club. Most people expect him to join a Championship club. For him, it was partly about trying to find a home again, because the last few seasons at Villa, he's not been fancied, shipped out on loan here, there and everywhere, and he felt like he could be a talisman. He's been a captain at every single club that he's played at, and I think he feels at Derby, even if he doesn't have the armband, he can have a real sort of leadership role. And then Curbs will know better than me, but geography sometimes comes into it. He's been at Aston Villa for the last few seasons, young family, was quite keen not to uproot them and move them too much. Derby County represented a really good chance for him to play a lot of football, thrive, and not uproot the family as well.
Well, it's started off too bad. He scored a really good goal last week, didn't he? And I think the hierarchy at Derby obviously have said to him, listen, we're going to give this a go. We're going to bring players in, you're going to be one of the first, but we're going to give it a bit of a go. And I don't think they're finished. The window's still open, and they're a very attractive club. 30-odd thousand last week. You want to go and play in front of that, wouldn't you? So
how similar is this to... It's not exactly the same, but back in '91, you had no money. Yes, they'd been taken over, but you still have to bring a club together like you had to do. You weren't even at your home ground. They've been through an awful time the last couple of years, haven't they? I mean, as you say, they're still holding up the crowds, they're still attracting people. But I mean, how difficult is it to kind of reunite a club like that? Because you did it yourself.
Yeah, and I think that perhaps they thought it was them against the rest of the world last year. I mean, deducted that amount of points, you haven't got a hope really, and they nearly done it. It was a great effort from them. I think Rooney, would perhaps I don't know the ins and outs of why he went, etc. But perhaps he wasn't convinced it was going to be turned around. But what they've done in a transfer market and what they're hoping to do, I think Wayne might be looking at it a little bit now, thinking, no disrespect.
I always think that from a manager's point of view, if you don't succeed in League One, it's very difficult to get out of. Sometimes it's a little bit of a long way back if you want to be a top line manager, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just quickly before we move on, Miles Leaburn, is he better than his dad?
It's going to be an interesting one, because Keith Peacock, I was talking to him earlier.
That's too diplomatic.
No, I was talking to Keith Peacock earlier, who's seen a bit of the boy, and he said he has got something. He's different to Carlo. Obviously, he's a big and etc. But he's got a bit more about him in terms of movement. And Carlo was an out-and-out centre forward that made other people play, and all the people that played around him scored goals because he took the buffet in and made things happen. I think Miles is a little bit different. I think he came on last week and played on the right. I know he wants to play down the middle, but he's excited, he's hungry and angry a little bit. He thinks he should be playing. So it's great. I said last week, if anything comes out of the Accrington game, is that when them players all arrived back at the training ground on Monday, the academy boys should have clapped Miles in. Stood there and clapped him in, because they can see a pathway.
Yeah.
If you're good enough, you've got a chance.
And it's aspirational, isn't it?
Absolutely. Them kids in the academy have got to see a pathway. And obviously the position we're in at the moment, we're bringing players in, etc. We need to win promotion, and it's difficult for them. But they see him last week grab his chance.
I'm not going to look at the league table just now, because it doesn't really tell us much in the opening week of the season. There is, though, a full programme of League One action today. Early league leaders Wickham, they face a difficult-looking trip to Bolton. The Forest Green Rovers contesting their first home game at this level against promotion favourites Ipswich Town. Last season's losing semi-finalists MK Dons and Sheffield Wednesday go head-to-head at Stadium MK. Those two both looking for their first victories of the season, somewhat surprisingly, you might say. We, of course, head to Sheffield Wednesday and Hillsborough next weekend. Elsewhere, Peterborough, who came from 2-0 down to beat Cheltenham Town last weekend, they welcome Lincoln City to London Road. Ali, any fixtures particularly standing out for you? We're seeing all the teams listed like that. It just is a chilling reminder, really, of just how competitive this competition is.
Yeah, it's a fantastic division to cover as a neutral in particular. It's a pretty peculiar league in that, with due respect to the dozen teams that we don't count when we say this, it feels like two leagues within one. And last season, there was, I think, a 9 or 10 point gap between Ipswich in 10th and Accrington in 11th. or maybe it was 11th and 12th. It was almost cut in half, and that's with Charlton, who we'd expect to be in that top half at the very least, having had a poor season and still finishing comfortably in 13th. So because of that, when I think about the top of the table, there's really 12 teams that I think of which Charlton are one, and therefore the fixtures between those teams are going to be crucial, because the points tallies will be very, very high, as they were last season. Argyle missing out on the playoffs with an 80-point season is ridiculous, unprecedented. So those 3 games between the more well-fancied teams, including the one we're seeing today, MK, Sheffield Wednesday and Bolton Wickham, those are the standouts.
This is the game of the day.
Yeah,
on paper, two big clubs, you know, and we looked at that. I looked at that, and I mentioned it the other day. How many ex-Premier League clubs are in this division? And you got 2 here today.
It's a long way back sometimes as well, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 here today.
Yeah, indeed. I've done the Scott Minto trick of running over time, so I'm going to bring in some club business just for now. We're in cup action on Tuesday night as we host the mighty Queen's Park Rangers in a London derby here at the Valley. Tickets for the Carabao Cup first round tie are on sale, priced at £15 for adults, £10 concessions, under 11s priced at just £5. Head to booking.cafc.co.uk to get your tickets. We should remember though as well, supporters based overseas and Charlton TV subscribers should note that we're only permitted to provide audio commentary for that fixture due to competition broadcast rules. So to confirm, there will be no live stream available for that QPR game, but Charlton TV subscribers will be able to listen to every kick live. Supporters who reside outside of the UK and Ireland are reminded they can purchase a subscription for Charlton TV for just £222 per year or £35 per month recurring. That's a bargain, by the way. The subscription will allow you to watch every men's first team league game live, as well as a host of other matches from our under-23s, under-18s and women's team. The cost per match of the annual subscription, someone else has done the arithmetic here because it wasn't my strong point at school, but it breaks down to less than £5 per game, which is based on you only watching the men's first team league games. Last season, incidentally, Charlton TV streamed exactly 99 games across the club's different teams. You certainly will get your money's worth with that one. It was always a place to come for a bargain. This, head to the website to get your ticket or to sign up. Onto the kits. I'm always excited when the kits come out. I'm one of those people who still buys the kit, even though I'm 44 years old. But a reminder that all 3 are on sale now to purchase in person from the Valley Superstore or online. International shipping also available too for supporters who live abroad. Again, head to the website for details. Very traditional, that. There's obviously the red and the white and the blue. I remember there were some weird ones in your time, Kurt. There was one that was ecru. It was about the colour of my jacket. Do you remember that?
There was a Viglan one.
Viglan, and it was mesh. Do you remember mesh?
Yeah, and it was green and purple and all sorts.
I remember the green and purple, yeah, exactly. You wore that in a defeat at Reading in 1995. In a few minutes' time, the club will be paying tribute to the man in the picture there. Former captain Jason Pearce. I saw him in a reserve game over at Ebbsfleet last season, still looking very trim. Now, he hung up his boots in the summer after making just shy of 600 senior appearances in a near 2-decade-long career. 175 of those appearances coming in Charlton colours. We've got someone knocking on the door at the moment trying to give us water. They are acting in our best interest, but we can't see them just right now. Just back to Pearcey for a second, though. He has already started the next chapter of his career and is now part of our under-18s coaching team. So we wish him all the very best. I'm sure we'll hear from him throughout the season as well. I want to bring the WhatsApp scenario into it as well, because fans who watched last week's match against Accrington on Charlton TV may have noticed that you can get in contact with us in the studio via WhatsApp. If you have a question for myself, Curbs or Ali, please send it in by WhatsApping the number currently on your screen. Remember, it's an overseas number, +44 07384 517 580, and if you have a question, we'd be delighted to hear from you. And we could, provided it's not too rude, about my jacket, read it out live on air. And finally, we are delighted to announce early this week that Charlton's women's team's Barclays Championship fixture against Birmingham City has been moved to the Valley. The Addicts take on Birmingham on Sunday, September the 18th, and tickets are now on sale, with adults priced at £10 each and concessions a £5. Head again to booking.cafc.co.uk to get yours now. As we said on Saturday, Karen Hill's squad toured Scotland last week, including their trip with a 1-0 win over Glasgow Rangers. Big win there. The Scottish Addicts fans group were in the stands for the game, and Charlton TV caught up with them after the game. Let's hear from them now.
So, Scottish Addicts here today at this afternoon's game. What did you think of the game, first of all?
I think it was a fantastic game. It was quick movement, and there was plenty of planning, and it was good. It was good to watch, interesting.
Yeah, great advert for the women's game, and after last night's win by England, I think we're all inspired to come along today, support the Addicts, and a good win for the Addicts well against Rangers.
Definitely.
And can you kind of tell us about your journey with the International Scottish Addicts? How did it all come about?
Well, really, we just started contacting each other through social media, and then we started putting together a website, and we started on WhatsApp, and before you know it, we found out there was a lot more than just one Charlton addict in Scotland. It was great.
Yeah, it's like having a little club where you can talk to your mates about what happened in the game on the Saturday. We've got a good WhatsApp group. We've got social media on Facebook, and we've got a website as well. So, and a lot of stories about all our members are actually on our website, which are quite interesting about different journeys that people have made to become Charlton supporters, either in the past or some more recently.
Fantastic there, hearing from the Scottish Addicts, and we thank them for joining Karen Hill's Addicts at their games. Great to see them all there. Right, staying on the subject of women's football, we're delighted now to be able to unveil our women's team's latest signing. She spoke pitchside to James Sherwood just a little short time ago.
Yes, thank you, Aidan. And I must say I'm delighted to be joined pitchside here now at the Valley by Charlton Women's latest signing, Mel Johnson. Mel, it's great to have you here. How does it feel to now be officially an Addict?
I'm really happy to be here. I'm really pleased to finally be announced and be here. It's a very ambitious club, so I'm really happy to be here and be a part of it, and I'm looking forward to starting the season. Yeah,
I wanted to say, what is it that stood out about the team for you that made you want to join them?
I think obviously coming up against them last year, they play really good football, and it's something that I've just wanted to be a part of and join Karen on this journey and create more success for this club, because obviously they've got a lot of history. So yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of it and like to get going now. For those at home who don't know much about the women's team's identity, tell us, what are they about? They had their first season last year as professionals. What was it that you saw coming up against them that made you say, I want to be a part of that? I think just how they dominate games and how they can control games, and I really like the way Karen plays and her style of play, and I feel like it will complement me and me on the pitch and ultimately get the best out of me. So I'm really excited to be here. Yeah. And was there a bit of a draw as well, because Karen Hill's part of that successful Charlton team, 2005 FA Cup winners as well? Yeah, definitely, yeah. So, being a winner, you're hoping that can sprinkle itself on the squad of girls as well? Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to bring that, here. I'm going to bring a winning mentality, a lot of passion and stuff like that. I think the fans will get that from me in my performances, so yeah, I'm just really excited. And it's been announced that the Barclays Championship game, you girls are going up against Birmingham City. That's going to be played here at the Valley. We've got to have a mention. Look at this pitch for the opening game of the season. What do you make of being able to get out there and do your thing? It's not bad, is it? Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really good occasion, and we just urge, obviously, to get the fans and everyone down here in numbers to come and support us, and we're really looking forward to the game and building on for the first game of the season. And just to emphasise lastly, how important is it to get as many people in the stand as possible for that game? How much can it be a 12th woman for you girls? Definitely, it's going to help us massively, and we're not just going to need them for that game, we're going to need them for the rest of the season, so we urge people to come down in numbers and support us and cheer us on. Well, you heard it there, guys, from our latest signing, Mel Johnson. Make sure you get down and support the Charlton Athletic women's team here in September, and also follow their games at the Oakwood in Crayford throughout the season. Back over to you now, Aidan.
Thanks very much indeed, James. Great to hear from Mel there. A warm welcome, of course, from everyone here at the Valley, and we wish her very well in her Charlton career. Guys, I want to bring you in about last Sunday, because I wasn't expecting the Lionesses to gain that kind of momentum during the tournament. They seemed to get stronger as it went along. How do you reflect on that, Curbs? Because it was a great day, wasn't it, really?
Absolutely fantastic. I was at my wife's brother-in-law's house, and there was about 12 of us, just all trying to watch the game and getting excited. And when the goals, like everyone was cheering, I think it's been a massive boost for the women's game, and I'm hoping it's going to set things off. I said earlier, I'm on the league managers committee, and I get a vote for manager of the month, player of the month, and goal of the month for both leagues. So I'm quite into it. I end up watching quite a bit of it, and I just think what they achieved last week is going to have a fundamental effect on women's football.
Easier said than done, though, isn't it, Ali? I mean, we don't want to become like rugby union, where the international game is very strong, it's stellar, but the club game isn't quite as strong. Or we have the reverse situation as you get in rugby league, where the international game isn't really spoken about much, but the league game is quite important. We want both, really, if we're going to be greedy. In women's football, we want to see big attendances in the WSL and the Championship off the back of this tournament.
I agree, and I'm feeling really encouraged about that, just because of the way that I believe Lioness fever swept the nation. I do believe that that can carry on into the season, and we just have to hope that between those who administrate the league, those who are planning its future, that they're ready for the increased support and that they can corral it and make sure that they don't lose their grip on it. The broadcasters have a big role to play in that as well. But honestly, the wave that I think we're all riding at the moment is a strong one, and it's hard not to talk about last Sunday without a big smile on your face.
Just quickly, Alan, how proud can this club feel? Because I remember there was a Charlton women's team probably 20 years ago, wasn't there? Probably before they had anyone else to play against.
Only got to a cup final. Obviously, with the relegation, the club finances, it was curtailed a bit. But Thomas has put a lot of money. Thomas Sandgar's put a lot of money into the women's team, and I'm so pleased they're getting an opportunity to play at the Valley. I think it says September the 18th or something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to come to that.
Against Birmingham.
Thomas is on screen, by the way, as you mentioned.
And that's what they need. They need that profile. They need to be able to play at the stadiums. Some of the Premier League clubs have allowed it, so good.
Cheers, Alan, on that. So, as we said a few minutes ago, Alan touched on it just then, the Birmingham game. The women's team will be back at the Valley in September, and it would be great to see as many fans there as possible supporting them. We hope they can build on the momentum, and maybe one day we might see Charlton in the WSL. I don't think that's too far down the line, is it? You've got to think big, I guess. Back to today's game, though, and the EFL. As we said at the top of the show, we've got one of the best EFL brains around. It'd be absolutely foolhardy of us not to... I'm looking at you, Ali. Both of you. Talk to me about your predictions, because yes, it's so difficult. The reason we don't show the league table is because you can't really see much after one game. But are you still happy with the predictions you made?
Charlton specifically, overall, I mean, yeah, there's 72 teams. When you're going to predict 72 teams league predictions in 9 months' time, there'll be some that are miles out. There'll be some that hopefully look quite smart. For Charlton in particular, of course, that's only a rise of one place, isn't it, from last season? I think that will have been, I'm sure, disappointing for fans of the club who are enthusiastic about the new era. And I must say, I am too. I can see the potential of what Charlton could be under Ben Garner. The reason for that prediction is what we perceive to be the strength of the teams above Charlton. But you have to remember, almost all of them, not the ones that came down, Derby and Barnsley, but almost all of them were stronger sides than Charlton last season in League One, have kept the same management team, have a similar core of players with a few additions. With Charlton, and this is exciting, but the fact is that success under Ben Garner is currently hypothetical. It's something that they're working towards, and therefore we didn't feel sure enough on that to put them much higher.
Alan, I don't think too many people would have disagreed with those choices for the top two, Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich, would they, if we'd asked them a week ago?
No, and I think that Ipswich were really funded well last year, and it never quite worked, but they've got a really strong squad, and they've got the manager in that they've been trying to get for some time, I think. The one team I looked at there, MK Dons, I'm just thinking, are they going to have perhaps a reaction to what happened to them last year? But you can't argue with the top two. I think Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich, have got a real chance.
Right, defender Ryan Inniss, as we mentioned at the top of the show, he headed away 19 balls last season, 7 more, I think, than any other player in League One. His reward is that he was interviewed by Charlton TV earlier in the week. Let's catch up and see what he had to say ahead of today's game.
Ryan Inniss, fresh from a hell of a battle up in Accrington last weekend. It was a real old-fashioned blood and thunder, quite literally sort of game. How's your head doing?
Yeah, head's absolutely fine. Just disappointed about the result in the end. I mean, it's a good point, like the manager said, away at Accrington, first game of the season, but to score so late and then let Miles down with a late equaliser for them was probably the only thing that lingered for a couple of days, not so much my head, so looking forward to this weekend.
Those are the sort of games you really thrive on. Obviously they have a style of play, a bit of an aerial bombardment at times. We saw the stats afterwards, 19 headers, aerial battles you won, which was 7 more than anyone else in the division on Saturday. Those are the ones you must really sort of enjoy, I guess.
Enjoy is probably not the word. Like, I'll always enjoy a battle, but I've I could do more things than head the ball, but definitely when it comes down to a game like that, I feel that it's my job more than anyone else's to go and win those battles, being 6'6". So, but there was many aspects to the game. Obviously, I did enjoy the battle, like you said. But first half, we had some nice passing and passages of play that are coming through from the manager. So there's a lot to take from the game. But yeah, obviously, I know the stat obviously come out with the aerial duels one, which is a bonus, really. Obviously, like I said, it's all about the result. And I mean, if I can contribute in any way, and if that's aerial duels, then it's aerial duels. It may be something else this weekend and something else the weekend after.
Back at the Valley, of course, on Saturday against Derby County. A real tough start to life at home this season, but something very different to what we experienced last week. How much are you looking forward to getting into it on Saturday against a team that are really fancied for promotion this year?
Yeah, absolutely. It could have been anyone we played at home, but actually, you know, a big club coming there, a great turnout, so I'd expect them to fill out the away end. So hopefully we can get as many addicts down there as we can to support us, and the place is buzzing. And we can get the result to match, because, you know, after the last few years we owe the fans some results and a good season, and some good football to go with it would be a real bonus.
Just how much difference do they make when it comes to big games like that, and you've got that covered end behind you that's making all that noise? A lot's made about the 12th man and all that sort of stuff, and some may think it's a bit of a cliche, but at a club like Charlton, it really, really is a difference maker, isn't it?
No, it's huge. It really is. Like I've played my trade in, you know, like lower league clubs previously, to come in here on loan, and it weren't until I come back to the Valley, as I used to watch as a kid. It was just phenomenal. Like what it is, when the game goes dead and the game goes flat, you can't hear specific shouts, but when you feel, it's almost like a wave of noise as such, and it can really just give you that boost. And especially in the dying embers of the game, especially is when I feel it. If you're tired, you're fatigued, you switch off a little bit with you know, 5-10 minutes to go. It just gives you that little bit of lift, that little bit of grinding of the teeth and knuckle down, and you don't want to let anyone down.
From a personal point of view, it's, you know, this is your third season now at the club. It's been an up and down sort of time, isn't it, for the team and for yourself, I guess, as well. It's fair to say you've been in and out. You had the red card at Wimbledon, all that stuff's behind you after last season. So this season must be very much about just keeping that place, playing as many minutes as you can, and really proving what you're worth for this side in this division, because everyone knows that already.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it starts with myself. Like I'm my harshest critic. Like I'm a project in myself, but I've also here, like you said, I've had the injuries. It's just if I can get my body right, my mind will follow. It's like almost last year, stop-start, and I'm grateful to the club for giving me another year. Honestly, it means so much that I just want to stay out there and be available, whether I'm picked or not. If I'm fit and available and I can bring something to the team, then, you know, that's just what this season's about. And I've got to keep going, as simple as that. I've said that for the last 2 years, but what am I going to do? Just pack up and quit? It's not in my nature. So there's some good work behind the scenes going on. I can't thank Adam Coe enough, and the club doctor and other people, Steve Jackson. They've worked with me. We've looked at other avenues, different bits of equipment, and we've really put the time and effort in, and hopefully this is the year that it comes to fruition. But, you know, and then if I am picked and put out there, I think I need to show a little bit more maturity as such. I wouldn't, obviously, it come out in a way at Wimbledon from a discipline aspect, but it's maturity now. I'm 27 now, I'm not 21. Yeah, I need to be able to control, it's not so much my temper, obviously it comes out as temper, but it's just composure. If I get overexcited or, you know, a little bit angry, I need to show a lot more composure, especially now that I've been here. This is my third year. We've got a young squad. I feel like I'm obviously one of the more older players, senior players, so that's also another aspect that I want to try and excel in as well. Obviously, Jaden's captain and Owen, great role models for me. They've played a lot of games, played at a higher level, Jaden. So it's about being a collective unit this year and chipping where we can. So there's on-field stuff that I'm looking forward to, and off-field stuff.
So that's Ryan Inniss there. Alan, big lad, seems a decent guy as well. How important can he be for Charlton this year?
If he can stay fit, and that is the big thing with him, we've got a player on our hands. You know, you can see the size of him. He can play. He's dominant in the air. He's quite quick. And as I say, it's the fitness. He needs to stay fit, and we have got a real asset.
I want to run into the highlights of last week as well. So close, of course, to starting the season with 3 points at Accrington. Here's how things unfolded at the Wham Stadium. Scott Fraser opening the scoring for Charlton here. How did you see this one, Curbs? Because you must have been pretty optimistic at this stage.
Yeah, I think that Corey Blackett going down the left, and we always looked dangerous. As I say, we started off really well, took the game really to Accrington and stifled them a little bit, but this is a well-worked goal. I like to see a midfield player breaking in the box like that. It's a great finish.
Yeah. He scored a lot of goals at this level before, Fraser. Normally most of them with his sweet left foot rather than his right foot, but I've seen him score a hat-trick live for Burton up at Oxford. He's definitely got goals in his locker in the right role. Topsy-turvy game though, wasn't it, Curbs?
Yeah, it was, and you know, we got outnumbered at the far post there, and he shouldn't be allowed.
I was going to say, they look a bit light on that left side. Well, you been disappointed with that?
Yeah, we got turned round, centre half got pulled out of position, and Claire had to come across and attack the ball.
But then deep into added time, Ali, you've got to see it out, haven't you?
That's a great ball. Look, that's a great ball.
I have not seen Lieburn up to this point, but it was exciting watching him leap like that. You know, such size for someone of his age, and I think in the modern game, particularly at Premier League level, if you look at the size of strikers now, there's almost like a minimum physicality that you have to be that Lieburn has. It was a well-worked goal, but you never see teams that open right in their own box in the 96th minute, do you?
The centre half got pulled out again, and you know, go deep. There's only a minute to go, and you've got 3 points.
We have got the players heading out of the tunnel just now ahead of this contest which is underway in a few minutes' time. It seems a good chance to say thanks for now to Ali and Alan. You're going to be on with us at half-time and, of course, at the end of the game as well. Let's cross, though, now to this afternoon's commentators. Terry Smith with Greg Stubley and the irrepressible Steve Brown. Good luck, guys.
Thank you, Aidan. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Curbs. And yes, we're back here at the Valley. Second game of the season, but first at the Valley in this new era, as they're calling it, the Garner era. And Steve Brown, delighted to have you alongside us. Couldn't quite make the trip to Accrington. I've seen nosebleed territory.
Fair enough, Tel.
But you're here, my friend. Good to have you alongside us. Looking forward to today.
Yeah, very much so. I think someone needs to just quickly, if they're listening, run a pie round to Curbs. He's absolutely starving. He didn't get his usual pie before the game, and he was a little stressed out before he went on air. But yeah, very much looking forward to the game. I think if you look at Derby's performance last week, we know Oxford are no mugs at this level. And by the looks of the stats and the data,